You're live right now. What's up, everyone? 5 p.m. West Coast, 8 p.m. East Coast. You are watching the trades live here on YouTube and on Instagram. We're just going to get warmed up before we start the show. Please let everyone know. Let's get the comments moving. Let's get the chat moving. Let me know where you're from. We have a really good show. And remember, it's free to like. Let me know. Let me get one in the chat if you can hear me. If you want to join the chat, you have to subscribe to PROFOW0 on YouTube. That way you can join the convo. We have a great show. Let us know where you're watching in from. Two minutes, and then we're going to start the show. We have a really good show. Been watching this guy for a little bit, for a minute now. A lot of great topics. If you want to say something, please say something in the chat. Let us know where you're from. All right, let's start this countdown.
This video has been brought to you by Break Connect. Go to the website and register. Check out what they have to offer.
Yo, what's up? This is Shadow Rock and Pro 41 of the Floor Gangs and Knuckle Neck Tribe, and you're watching the Trades show about breaking, hip hop, and the business of. How's everyone doing, y'all? So once again, we are here doing the show live from Restream, live from YouTube, and live from Instagram. New feature. Shout out to Break Street Media for putting me on to Restream because I was using StreamYard. But this time, like I said, we can watch the show on Instagram now. But the difference is that here we actually could comment and join the chat right here on YouTube. So please subscribe because it's like DJ Academics. Like he was smart. He basically was like, he knew that he was saying some salacious stuff. And it's like the only way he could talk to me is if you subscribe. And I copied that from him. So I got to give it up to DJ Academics, even though I think he's a lame. But yeah, anyway. So, how's everyone doing? It's been about 2 weeks. The last time I was on here live was I was talking about why the USA has to win the Olympics this year, and that's coming up pretty soon. Like it's coming up August 10th. It's going to be very exciting time. You know what I'm saying? So I just like kind of commented that, and that kind of brought the idea of this show today was actually that show that we had, and you could check that here at the Pro41 channel. So before we get started, I have to clean house, right? I have to clean house. So first of all, 89% of you are basically watching the content and enjoying the content. I appreciate y'all, man. Like you guys are really helping out a lot as far as making the channel grow. I'm at 1900 subscribers, but would it be even better is if I get to 2000? Maybe we could do something about that. Maybe we could do like, I don't know. Maybe we could do a giveaway or something like that. You know, it's not so much important that I get the subscribers. I'm not in the most, you know, I'm not like, you know, like I don't need it that fast, but it does help the channel. Basically, we can up the equipment just like we restream. We could do stuff like getting a better camera, getting a mic, even though I bet you anything a lot of those guys on YouTube, uh, you know, they have the mic here. I bet it's not even plugged in. they're just they're just basically it's just for the visuals. I have a mic, but actually, if I were to use it, I would actually use it versus just the visuals. So again, if you subscribe, you can help monetize the channel even more than it is now. And even though I'm not making that much money, but you could basically help the channels because like who knows what we want to do with it. We want to maybe uh go on trips or do something like that within that type of idea. So I think that would be really good if you guys could help out. And if you don't want to subscribe, at least get the likes up on this video. That way it could tell the algorithm because again, the market is small when it comes to like commentary breaking, even on breaking clips, to be honest. It's small on YouTube. TikTok, Instagram, we're good. YouTube, not so good. So please like, subscribe. Again, that's the only way you can comment, join the chat, and click the bell for notifications. Second thing is giving a shout out to Zen World. Zen World CBD. Now, if you don't know what CBD is, it is the part of the cannabis plant that doesn't give you the psychoactive effect as far as the head high, but it does have healing properties, such as healing properties as far as helping with inflammation. So, Zenworld has the nano drops. You could basically put this in your coffee, your sports drink, your water, you drink it up, helps heal. That's what CBD does. It helps heal inflammation. And if you don't want to ingest it, you could always use the topical. The basically it works like an icy hot, the CBD freeze. So it has the same things as icy hot. Like it has like, you know, it gives you that good massage, but the ingredient that helps heal it, because icy hot doesn't heal, it just helps massage. What helps heal the inflammation is the CBD ingredient, and you can put this on. So again, you could go to zenworld.com and go to the promo code and use the promo code Gearheads, GEARHEAD with a Z. Get 10% off because why not save money as you relax, repair, and restore. All right. Okay. And then one more. Okay. Yeah. Again, I got to clean house, guys. I got to clean house. I got to do it. Recently, I just made the push. We finally have the Supreme Geometry merchandise. Okay. You know, again, if you go to this YouTube channel, you can basically find Supreme Geometry videos. I have one on Rodney Mullen. I have one on Keras One. I have one on Ajax Insight. Basically, it was like the idea was a counterculture, the counterculture to breaking competition. And I was like, you know what? I was too scared to like put out merch, but now I have it. So you could go to the Profo One shop at printify.me and you can find the beanies. We got hoodies. We got the shirt. I'm gonna get mine this Thursday. Know that I'll be rocking it next week for next week's episode. And yo, I'm really excited because I think this is something that I would personally rock. You know what I'm saying? Like I would rock this. So again, go to Profile One shop Printify Me. I'll put it on the link too as well. That way you guys can see like some of the gear. And if you want to support this channel, that's why you don't see me having a ticketer right here saying my Cash App or Venmo. No, 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 no. If you want to support the channel, buy some merch. At least come away with something. You know what I'm saying? Don't just give me money. Come away with something. But if you want to give me money, you could always go to the chat. You can give me a super thanks or super chat. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for everyone for supporting the channel. Great content right here. So that being said, now that I got that out of the way, okay. As I was saying, I was basically when I was here on YouTube last time, I was basically talking about why the USA needs to win the Olympics. And my man right here was like, "Yo, how do I donate?" I was like, "Oh, super chat." So this guy's my first super chat as well. But not just that, actually, you know, people think that I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention. Now, do I say anything? Nah, I don't usually say anything, but I watch. If you're just tuning in, I do watch everyone else's breaking podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Like I do watch. Now, do I comment? Not really, but I observe, right? So I've been watching this guy actually for a minute, and he had a really good conversation with Felix from Break Connect. And normally he would be behind the camera interviewing people, but this is the first time I saw his face because it was on Instagram Live. So normally he would be interviewing people, and you wouldn't see his face. But when he was on with Felix, he was asking really good questions. And then recently, he had a podcast with Box One, Rich Nice, and Heat Rock. And one of the topics came up that was ageism, and he put me on the thumbnail, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, yo, this guy, like, he has a lot of interesting topics, and it's not like the regular breaking podcast. It's a lot of it is like just kind of like stuff that we kind of say in the locker room or maybe the barber shop. That's the best analogy I have. But without further ado, we got the AER B-Boy B-Girl podcast with Rick the Ruler. What's up, Rick? How you doing?
What it is, what it do, Profo.
What
Thank you for
up,
having me,
man?
homie.
Dude. Well, like I said, it's like there's a lot, there's a few, I would say there's a lot. We're still like if you go to like a podcast, there's like millions, right?
Right.
MMA podcast, millions. I don't think we even passed 50 podcasts about breaking yet. I think maybe we're at 20. Maybe. Do you know what
Well,
I'm
they're
saying?
out there. They're out
Right.
there. They're probably not popping right now, but
Yeah.
they're out there. And salute to those guys that are out there doing the damn thing, putting out the content with regards to breaking. You know what I mean? Keep it
Yeah.
pushing, keep it moving.
Yep.
It's gonna blow up
Yeah, for
eventually.
sure, for sure. I think, I mean, and it's good. Like, shout out to like Focus, shout out to Smurf, shout out to the kids in Canada. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a few media channels covering breaking, but not like podcasts where we're talking about and stuff like that. So, with before we get into like the meat of it, like let's talk about kind of your history. When did you first see breaking, and how did you start? And how did you start?
Um, all right, so I'm born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey. For those of you guys out there that are not familiar with Trenton, New Jersey, I'm 40 minutes away from Philadelphia. I'm an hour away from New York City. So I'm
Okay.
dead smack in the middle of two major cities. All
Right.
right. Um, I mean, outside of, just growing up in the 80s and seeing breaking and
Hmm.
throughout the 90s, I would say my first initial journey probably started in the late 90s.
Okay, word.
Uh, Back then, because Philadelphia was so close to us, me and my family at that time, which was my crew, we would go into Philly and go to the clubs, and the clubs
Hmm.
is where the breaking was at. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where
Were you
everything
going
was
to
at.
the gathering and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
gatherings,
yeah.
Egypt on the waterfront, all those places we used to travel. It was only 40 minutes away, and it was a straight shot.
Right.
Now, although we could have gone into the city, which is New York City, we call it New York City, the
Hmm.
city, um, but it would have been a harder commute back because
Hmm.
in Philly, we could go out to Philly, break, get shit face, and then it's just a straight shot back home. But if you
Right.
went out to the city, for those of you guys out there that know the transit or the train schedule, first of all, when you go out to New York, the party don't start popping until 12 at night. You know what I
Right.
mean? Unlike every other state where everything closes much earlier, you
Mm-hmm.
party earlier. In New York, it parties late. So we were already running on 2, 3 hours behind party time wise. So when we would go out to the city, we would have to try to get back home early. Unfortunately, for the train station, they stop. For those of you guys out there that are from the city and know this, they stop. I think around 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they pick back up around 5. So if
Right.
you're tired, you're trying to get back home, you're stuck in that train station until 5 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's a little bit more difficult of a commute to go out there. If you were not doing public transportation, if you were just commuting, you have to drive through 10, 15 different cities and hope not to get pulled over by the state police or any kind of townie cop, because then that would be a problem as well. But
Right.
yeah, so I mean, my I guess my real journey probably started in the late '90s. Um,
Yeah, where did you
and
first see it being in Jersey? Because you know, like I always try to do this study, right? For a lot of people nationwide, the earliest that I hear nationwide is like 94. You know what I'm saying? Where like where you start seeing it actually more than just like the icons in it, right? So yeah, what year was that? And who did you see anyone particular? Was there a crew in your neighborhood or at least your city or whatever?
In the early '90s, there was a couple guys
Okay.
that I knew that were cousins of a friend. They were older, and they were dope back then. But I think at that particular time, it was more recreational. It was
Okay.
just
Right.
something fun to do. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
They didn't really take it serious. So I experienced that at a very young age. And I remember knowing how to do a three-step just from doing it when I was a baby back in the '80s.
Oh, holy crap.
Was, you
Damn.
know what I'm saying?
That was
So I
that
used to,
because
I
you're
used to,
40 because I watched your video. You're like 42. So
yeah, yeah,
that must have been 86, 87.
yeah, probably like '87. I was like five,
That's
six,
crazy
seven.
because like for me like it was dead. Like at that point like no one like it was gone. It disappeared. So to kind of hear that's like, wow, that's kind of crazy that at 87 a kid's doing a baby's doing a three step. Like
Yeah,
you know
well,
what
I
I
mean, being close to the Mecca,
mean?
although it kind of died out, there were still a few people that were still around that were still
Hmm.
doing it. They were just kind of late, you know what I mean, doing it
Right.
late, and
Right.
you were able to experience it back then. But yeah, it wasn't really serious like that,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the
I hear
guys
it.
that I seen in the early to mid '90s, they
Hmm.
were much older than me, and I
Right.
saw them doing it. You know what
Right.
I mean? But for them, it was more of a trendy type thing. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was more
So who
recreation.
is there any names that you could like drop as far as like from that time?
Nobody you would know. It wasn't like nobody
I
even
mean,
worth
like, did
dropping.
you see Raph back then? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, did you
Rat,
see?
not back then.
Okay,
Not
all right,
back then.
word,
You're talking
word.
about Xavier. Yeah,
Yeah, yep,
yeah,
yep,
yeah,
yeah,
Visine.
yeah,
I didn't
Visine,
see
yeah.
I saw Visine probably in the '90s up in the clubs.
Okay, word, yeah, yeah. See, that's crazy too, like, cause like, you're like the cutoff, honestly, when I hear like at the clubs, like your age is the cutoff. Like 40 is like after that's like everything else is Summit Radiotron freestyle session. Like after that, it was like pretty much, you know. Were you there at the East Coast Overdose? Was it what was it
Yep,
called? Spin Factor? Spin Factor
yep.
3?
No, Spin Factor was, I believe, in either Boston or Connecticut.
Right, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I wasn't there. No, I
Okay.
wasn't there. I remember getting the VHS though. So it was a
Yeah,
crazy,
same.
crazy ass video. I think everybody had that goddamn crazy ass
Yeah.
video. You
Who
know what I
was the
mean?
guy who edited again? What was his name? Shoot, I forgot. The guy who like cuz he put like some crazy stuff on there like,
Yeah, yeah. That shit was like a snatch. I don't know if you remember the movie Snatch by Guy Ritchie. It was
Yeah,
like kind
yeah,
of like
yeah, yeah.
emulated that
Yeah.
that
He
type of
had like
beginning.
Jean-Claude Van Damme clips, like midget porn,
It was
like
so dope. That shit was so hot. Whoever came up with that shit was so dope for that
what was his
time, that
name? He
time
used to be
frame.
on the freestyle session boards, and he would just like before there was B-boy memes, it was like this guy. Like,
I
he
don't
used
know if
to,
anybody in the live chat knows. Throw out that name
yo, yeah,
because
he's
put
crazy. He
some
was
put some
crazy.
respect on that guy's name.
He was crazy. He was the first B-boy meme guy before we even knew what a meme was. Like, and then
Yeah, yeah.
so he was on the freestyle session boards. I forgot his name. I just remember, and then I heard this guy edited that Factor 3, and I was like, yo, what this is like. It's like it
Hell
had
yeah.
replay value, right? And it wasn't just the battles. It was just
Bro,
like,
and that was VHS. You know how hard
right.
it was to edit
Yeah,
VHS
yeah,
back then? We talking
yeah,
20, 30 years ago?
yeah,
Now you can
yeah,
edit, over
yeah,
your phone.
for sure,
But
for sure.
man, that shit was dope, man. Put some respect on that guy's name.
That's crazy. Yo,
But
so yeah, good.
moving along, I mean, yeah, like again, most of my journey started probably in the late 90s. Um, back then, pre-internet days, there was maybe a battle once a year. So it
Right.
wasn't it wasn't like real motivation if you were trying to come up on a competitive level,
Yeah.
unless you wanted to battle at the clubs, right?
Right.
Just
Yep.
call somebody out in the street.
Yep.
So for me, it was like off and on. I'll keep it real with you when it came
Hmm.
to breaking. Like there was times where I would just break on the weekend at the clubs, you know what I mean, and then I take a whole week off. And then there was days that I would break 3 months, and then I'll 3 months straight, and then I'll take 3 months off. You know what I mean? Or I'll break
Right.
during the week and take the weekend off. So you know, it kind of just generated that way. By the early 2000s. There was a b-boy by the name of Taz. He eventually moved from Hawaii to
Okay.
Jersey. And he was down with a breaking crew. I'm not sure if they're still around. I think they still are, by the name of Supreme Team out of Hawaii.
Yeah,
Now,
Supreme Team. Yeah.
yeah, so he came, and this guy, let me tell you, this was my mentor. He had every power move except for air flares. Air flares wasn't popping back then. You
Right.
know what I mean? And hand hops. Air power wasn't really like that back then.
Right.
But this guy had every other power move you could think of, super clean. He went by the name of Taz. His real name was Iva. And he kind of took me under my wing. We started breaking. He started making a lot of noise within the general area, Philadelphia, New York, things of that nature. And he started like a chapter two in Jersey called
Really?
Supreme Team. So
Okay.
that was probably like my
Okay.
first official crew was Supreme
Wow.
Team, which was like a secondary chapter of
Right.
the crew that's in Hawaii.
Real quick too, I mean, like you have someone like Shells who has a connection with the 808 Breakers as well. You know what I mean? Like with
Yeah.
Arc and stuff like that. Yo, it's really dope that you say that because my man Jay Soul from BTR Breaking, he's like big on Hawaii culture because he's from Hawaii, and it's like
Mhm.
yeah, SWAT. Like my man Jay Live, he's originally like they became a lot of these guys, the students of those crews like ABC and all that stuff. They became Red Eye Jedi, which was like the crew in Hawaii and stuff like that.
Right,
Even the
right, right.
connection of like LOZ, right? LOZ like they like Noob and I forgot his name, but they all moved to Hawaii too. So like that's dope that like there is that connection that you have with Hawaii. That's crazy, dude. That's
Yeah,
dope.
man. Deep
That's
lineage, man.
dope.
Deep
That's
lineage.
dope. Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, so from that time, like we're like at that point the competition thing was starting to happen, I'm assuming, for you guys.
uh, I
Not
guess so. Early
right,
2000. If it wasn't like a grassroots independent competition that was going on,
right,
just some local guys around that really liked breaking. They loved breaking, and they wanted
right.
to kind of organize, promote an event back then. The colleges started picking up, and
Hmm.
they started throwing jams.
Got it. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So roughly around 99 to the early 2000s, we were at an event, I think it was Temple back then. And this dude approaches us, right? He approaches me and he goes, "Hey, listen, I'm looking to start up a breakdancing club." Or actually it was at that time, he called it like an urban martial arts dance club,
Okay.
right?
Word.
And he goes, we're looking to organize and start up this club over at Princeton University. And because we were local, Trenton's only 15 minutes away from Princeton University. He goes, "Would you like to come through and maybe help us organize this up?" I'm
Right.
like, "Dude, that would be dope." Now, in my mind, you know, and my crew, we were a bunch of street kids. We didn't give a
Right.
shit if we could go over to Princeton University and there was good floor, there was cold water fountains, mirrors, good
Mhm.
sound system.
Mhm.
That beats practicing in the goddamn sidewalk. That beats
Yeah, yeah,
practicing in
yeah.
the dirty ass basement. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Trying to find spot. If we had a legitimate spot to go get down in, then let's go take advantage of it. You feel
Right.
me?
Yeah, yeah.
So we started doing that, and then through that, we started to help the alumni there create a breaking club
Okay.
for the Princeton University students.
Okay.
So that took off, and that's still going on. It's
Word.
been
Okay,
20
they still
20
have it.
something years.
Oh, they
Yeah,
still have it. Oh, shoot.
yeah, they still have it.
Okay. Okay,
They
damn, that's
still they
crazy.
still have it. And the good thing that happened with regards to that was because everybody who was in my crew at that time was older than me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Um, I was like around the same age at that particular time when college kids were the same age group.
Right.
So I blended in okay. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Although, Princeton kids can be a little bit, not of the same mentality, not of the
Right.
same personality, but
Yeah, yeah.
because breaking was kind of like the catalyst, we found ways to integrate, if that makes sense.
That's cool.
Um, so the guys that I ran with were older. They eventually phased out. They
Mm.
started chasing girls, you know what I mean? They started doing their work thing, you know what I mean? I was the only one that really, really felt it. Like it was in my heart at that particular time. And I had the college students to rock out with. So I was with the college kids for like 5, maybe 6 years, breaking with them until I actually met other breakers in Jersey. I mean, I
Okay.
knew of other
Right.
other crews and other breakers,
Yeah,
such
because
as
there's
like
like Rock with Finesse.
Rock
They're
with
from
Finesse.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I knew
Zebra.
Darby,
Yeah,
I knew
yeah, yeah.
Dynamite, I knew
Right.
Sweet Pea. I knew all those guys there. They would occasionally come and practice with us, but
Right.
outside of that, there wasn't like my generation unless I went out to the city or I went
Hmm.
out to Philadelphia.
Right.
Um, but eventually, the internet kicked in and it squashed all that. We were all on the
Yeah.
freestyle session chat
Yeah.
board.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
Networking, and then that's how
Yep.
everybody came together.
That's crazy. So
Excuse me. Yeah.
let's go from okay. So like like I'm gonna play this. Like again, I'm gonna play videos in the background. But
Mhm.
so from that time, so now we're talking 2002, 2003. Like
Yeah.
like the Spin Factors 2003. In between that time when like this is when the competitions things start to ramp up, right? It became like B-Boy Summit, freestyle session. What were some of the events that started to get big over there in that side?
Man, you asked me something from 25 years ago. There was always small local events. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right,
I
right.
I organized an event, I think in 2001, 2002 in Princeton, where we it was a very poor organization, but we were able to fly out Marlin.
Oh, word.
The footage is still out there. It's somewhere
Okay,
out there.
word.
I think I might have it saved on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah,
But we were able to organize an event there, and most of the time it's just word of mouth, just flyers, paper flyers back then, and we packed the house organizing
nice.
events at that particular time. But other than that, it was probably small events in Philly. The club thing was kind of still going on, slowly phasing out because a lot of
Yeah,
people were kind of growing out of it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And then
yeah.
there was like events in New York City. I know Zulu Nation, Zulu Kings. They were doing breaking events. Rocksteady was still kind of popping off at that particular time. So yeah, I mean, outside of that, there was major events that we did do, but
Dope, man.
yeah, we
So
tried to do our best with regards to participating in as much community events as possible.
right. So like so what, this is you, right? Yeah. No?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's you.
yeah,
All
that's
right, there
me.
you go. What year is this?
Oh, that's got to be 2008, 9,
Oh, word. Okay,
2008,
dang.
9.
All right. This is like yeah, when like that time Flavor Squad was really big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this guy looks kind of like Casper, so yeah, that's how I know.
Yeah.
Wait, is that Eric right here? No,
Yeah, that's
that's
in
Eric. Oh
Eric's
shoot,
early stages. Yeah.
yo, he did a missile. He did a Cortez. Okay, shoot. Because yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely still repping right now. I see him
Yeah.
from
I
time to
think
time. You know what I mean?
that's I think that's only 2 years in for Herrick. That might
Wow,
be 2 years in for him.
that's crazy. And then
So,
this is like okay about 14 to 15 years ago, right? So what has happened since then? You know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously, like, and this we're gonna get into that topic, kind of like the topics you were talking about in the podcast.
mhm.
What has happened in between that time and the AER B-Boy B-Girl podcast?
So let's timeline it then, right? So
Yep.
2005, between 2005 and 2009, or I'm sorry, 2005 and 2014. Let's
Hmm.
just quickly bang that out real quick. So you're talking about 9, 10 years.
Yep.
Um, I kind of bounced in and out of different crews.
Hmm.
I was down with a crew called Sour Logic, and then I was down with a crew called Imperial Styles, and then eventually I was down with a crew called Soldiers. Um, And at the same time, all while that was happening, I was helping to organize and facilitate as much as possible with the Princeton breaking crew known as
Okay.
Simpo.
Okay.
Okay, so Simpo, although I'm not a Princeton University student, you know
Right.
what I mean. I was there to kind of help and open up the doors to the outside breaking community to kind of provide resources, practice spots, things of that nature. You know what I mean. When I
Right.
first got into breaking, I didn't, unlike other breakers, my objective, my goal wasn't to be a goddamn Rebel BC1 champion or try to
Yeah.
win jams or things of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
One of my inspirations was Cross One. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
wanted to be the guy that was able to provide resources that can
Right.
make strong contributions back to the scene because I always wanted to be. I always wanted to make sure we had a Jersey breaking scene. You know what I mean?
Mm.
For those of you guys
Word.
that are not familiar with Jersey, you could get to the most southern part of New Jersey to the most northern part of New Jersey in probably 2.5 hours. It's a very, very small state. So there's
Right.
a lot of breakers that are from South Jersey that are affiliated with Philly, or they affiliate themselves with Philly. Same thing
Mm.
with North Jersey. If you're from North Jersey, because it's a hop, skip, and a jump. You're right there.
Right.
North Jersey would affiliate themselves with New
New
York,
York. Yeah.
right? But
Yep.
guys like myself, who I'm from Jersey, it was important to try to become the glue to a New Jersey
Mm. I
community.
see. I see.
So for me, it was important to utilize the resources that we had through Princeton by opening up the doors to the outside community. At the same time, the Princeton students were getting experience based on other breakers that are outside of the actual college scene. And
Right.
then the outside breakers were getting the proper resources in order to practice, train, and
Right.
network. You feel
That's
me?
dope. Yeah. No. See.
So
See. That's the thing. I think even though it's big, the college scene is still very big as far as breaking.
yeah.
Yet what I noticed there is a disconnect with one of my boys says, shout out to Justified, he would say jamflation. Like there's this thing
Okay.
he calls it jamflation, right? Like there's because like you said, it used to be once a year. There's gonna be an event once a year, and you did most of your dancing at the clubs. You're going to the clubs, whatever it is. And I was like, right before I went on live on YouTube, on live on Instagram, I was talking about like there's this time period where it's just like it was like this club thing that was going on that, and most of the people that are following me are really like it's either they're really my age or really young, and that in between kind of pays attention to what I say. So I was making a joke like you guys aren't really connected to hip hop. You'll know the theme song to One Punch Man, but you won't know no.
But they don't know. They don't
You
know
don't know who Redman
Rakim
is,
or Eric B.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, 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 yeah,
you don't know who Redman is, right? Like, and I was
yeah.
kind of saying, thank God for the Kendrick Drake battle because that's the only time you it was in your face. You can't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, like there's no, like you're like Lil Uzi Vert, I'm not feeling him, but I like One Punch Man. Like you know what I'm saying? So there's like while you're from that generation where you're going to the clubs and being going to New York clubs, it's not just hip hop clubs. It's like go to the drum and bass club, go to this club, go to or the club that has drum and bass downstairs and they're playing top 40 hip hop upstairs and wherever we can find a place to dance, we're gonna dance, right? Like
Right, right.
they like these kids like barely the 38-year-olds experience that. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's weird if I could piggyback off that
yeah,
because me and I would imagine yourself as well. We're cut from a different cloth, so
right.
for me, you can't disconnect hip hop from breaking. Although you got a lot of this new generation that kind of has like more this nuanced perspective
Hmm.
where they not fucking with hip hop, but they love breaking. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of weird because when you talk breaking, that's hip hop to me.
Right,
So
right.
you can't. I don't know how you disconnect the two, but
I mean, that was
maybe
the
it's
whole thing
from
at the
our history.
yeah, maybe it was that I mean that early 2000s with like Freak Show and Circus Runaways. Like they were
Right, right,
definitely yeah, they were definitely like the story of them is like it was really interesting where they come from, and just even in my own research, it's like, well, a lot of them were like Mexican or South American, but a lot of their cousins that were into breaking were bangers, and they were kind of like want to be opposite of banging, especially your LA, like you're street affiliated, right? But automatically, and you're trying to like, there's this movie called What's Up Rockers. It came out, and it's like that's It was about like these Mexican kids that were into punk rock, and they just want to like, even though they're from the hood, they're
Hmm.
like, we like skating and punk rock. So and I feel
Right.
like that's what they were. They were like kind of like, we like breaking, but we like System of the Down. We like like White Stripes. We like the punk rock aesthetic, and we like Benji and Rollin and Exuberant a lot. You know what I mean?
And it was funny though that that didn't last. Here we are 24, 20, 25 years later. And although it was dope back then because they brought to the table a different style, right? You don't see much of that going on. And listen, I can only really speak from a New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania
Right.
regional area. Um, I don't see that type of abstract style that
Yeah.
much out here
Actually,
anymore.
this is why I like the new kids, because they're able to do the weird stuff that they did, but with a flow now. Like when you look at the Russian guys, they're on that kind of like
Okay, yeah.
they love like stuntman. They love these guys. Yet, stuntman and them footwork barely can do it, but they'll do proper breaking and then find that flow with it. Like they'll
Right.
flow in and out of it versus like the circus guys just kind of jumped into it and just like shock value, like leg behind
Right,
my head. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Jumping their
Like
elbow and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
These
wild.
guys were like flow up in and out into the elbow, back of the head stuff, and then back and then unpretzel themselves out into like a flow. So I could. That's why
Exactly.
I kind of like the breaking now, even though it's like, oh, originality. Everyone looks the same. It's like I get that, but creatively, I feel like they're especially in Russia, like where they'll look at like someone like Midas and be like, he's God, Midas is God, Stuntman is God, but then they can like physically and athletically they could do more than what those guys did. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's pretty interesting. But again, going back to shout out to the chat too. Shout out to Iraq from Hawaii, TBB. What up? Shout out to Pluto Seven, of course, Jersey representing. He said, Pluto says, soldiers, those are my boys. And then he said, breaking is hip hop. What about the kids that just like anime and just want to break to the Guile soundtrack of Street Fighter?
Ah, I mean, you know what I
And
mean?
it's mostly
That's
Asian.
one of
I'll
those
admit, it's
things.
mostly Asian kids from the West Coast that are kind of like on. And this is where the college thing comes in. Okay, so getting back to like to circle back, I feel like the collegiate crowd is very disconnected to like let's say a the pro breaking tour. Like they're not so hyped to go to a pro breaking tour, but they'll go to like Boston, through a jam. Let's all go there. I call it like the underground scene. They're like, we don't want like they're very like what we were like. Just I'm not going to go to the mainstream stuff. I'm only going to go to the college jams. Like what's one of the jams out there? Ruthless, I think.
Ruthless is in Rutgers, yes.
Yeah. So that's like whenever I see footage from there, it seems like it's always packed. Do you know what I mean?
So let me piggyback off that,
Yeah.
and you might have experience in this. So you have state colleges, right?
Hmm.
That the majority of those that go to state colleges are in state. They
Right.
live in. So for here, they live in Jersey, and
Right.
most of them go to Rutgers. Rutgers is a
No.
state college. Princeton is an Ivy League
Right.
college. So you
Yeah.
get people from all over the world
Word. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that are going to there, and they're
Yeah.
getting exposed to breaking. Now
Yeah.
when Princeton they leave college, they're going somewhere else. They're either
Right. Right.
going to grad school, lawyer
Hmm.
school, all over the place. So those 4 years that they're learning how to break, that's like a pastime. That's like, let's do something
Hmm.
that's really cool, really interesting for the 4 years. And
Right.
then maybe, very
Yeah.
low percentage, maybe we'll stick with breaking when we
Right.
go wherever to goddamn Africa and do
Right.
whatever it
Right.
is that we
Right.
do.
Right.
The Rutgers kids, when they do their 4 years in breaking at Rutgers, when they get out, they're still in Jersey, so they're still local. So they can still
Mm.
rock out. You
Right.
feel me? So
Yeah.
now they started out as a college breakers, but now that they don't go to college, they're part of the New Jersey breaking community. They still
Right.
kind of come and go in the colleges, which is a good thing because it inspires the next
Yes.
4 years
Yes.
of the students
Yes.
that want to do the damn thing. You
Yeah.
feel me? So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's pros and cons to both to the college scene, but there were many years ago when I was trying to get a lot of the Princeton kids exposed to the outside college breaking scene.
Mhm.
Many of them didn't want to be part of the outside
Oh
breaking
shoot.
scene. They wanted to stay within the college and
Right.
break. I used to call them closet breakers. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want to.
yeah.
They didn't want to come out. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right,
So
right.
yeah, yeah, you get a lot of different personalities, a different lot of perspectives with regards to this dance and what's their level of involvement. You know
Right.
what I mean? If
Yeah.
it ain't something that you think you're going to be doing this for the next 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, then ask yourself, is it worth doing now? You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah. And
What
yeah,
is
yeah, I mean, and we're getting close to like the subject that I want to talk about, but because I find it interesting because right now I think, and this is a shout out to everyone, I love y'all, but this is just my observation, is that like right now it seems like divide is these most of the, let's say, sponsored event tours is really geared to like your kid breaks, your Wilsons, your the kids that are coming up on it.
the
You know what I'm saying?
babies? Hell
The bit,
yeah,
yeah,
the
right.
babies.
Like I went to freestyle session last year. It was like, they'll battle and then they'll play tag outside. You know what I mean? Like outside the cipher, they're like chasing each other, right? And you know what I'm
Yeah, yeah.
saying? Like it's
I would
different.
organize youth events, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I would organize youth events, and during deliberation for the judges, the kids would be outside. I'd bring them popsicles,
right, right,
and
right,
here they
right,
are,
right.
eating
Yeah,
popsicles and
and
shit like that. So
this is a testament too, because like the most concentrated schools in breaking is Vegas and Arizona, and their parents do tailgating parties outside. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like so, like that. I mean, and then our parents is like, well, the judges better be like looking for like what the you're sitting there like, what
like
the
dance moms, yeah,
yeah,
like dance moms,
100.
yeah,
What I did, it's just what it is, and and then, but then, obviously, the kids that we're talking about, the Rutgers kids, like they ain't trying to hear that shit. And
well,
I feel
they're
like,
not babies, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
They're not babies. We
They
talking about
want
the
they want to
babies.
experience the things that we're talking about because at the same time, they ain't trying to go clubbing, like because clubbing is bottle service now. Like why they ain't trying to, they're just like, I'm going to the club, I got dressed up and got to buy a table. So they don't know that experience
Yeah,
of like this music is dope. I want to get down. Barely. I'm sure there is, but not like I'm sure a lot. I know b-boys that be like, I'm ready to go to the club, and then I gotta get dressed up and not. Oh, it's just party. Like I ain't gonna break there. I just break. And I get that. That's cool, but there's definitely because obviously the music is not good either. Like it's not like when I was coming up, you would hear Woo at the club, like
yeah. Well,
and
I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a club in over 20 years, so I don't
word.
know. I don't know who's going clubbing and what clubbing is now. I
That's what
know there's
clubbing
people
is
that
now. It's bottle
they're doing
service, right?
virtual clubbing.
That
That's
too.
at
Yeah,
home clubbing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
So yeah, so
I don't
obviously the culture is a lot different as far as like breaking culture, club culture is different. Like just even since COVID, it's like different, right?
know.
Because most of these kids were 14 when COVID started. By the time they're outside, they're 18. So it's like it's a
Yeah.
different type of thing, you know what I mean? And it's a different, and they're used to, and even with hip hop dancers, they're used to being in front of a mirror. Like they're not really, I love this song, let me go off to it. It's like this song is on my phone, I'm gonna plug it in, I'm gonna practice in the mirror doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right, right, right.
you know what I'm saying? And then it's like judges, 3, 2, 1. No, I lost. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it's funny because you mentioned the club, and now we're gonna like let's start with the podcast first of all. What brought on the idea of the
Um,
podcast?
okay, so 2014,
Mhm.
I left the college, Princeton University. I actually opened the doors for a lot of outside breakers
Uh-huh.
to come in, and I gave them the torch basically to help organize and run the next college kids that were coming in, because every 4 years there was a new group of students, a new group of students, new group of students.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? And I was already a man of a certain age. I was already in my early 30s, and I was just moving into a different direction. So around 2014, um, I was working for a company where I was doing a lot of driving, and I was still involved in the breaking scene. I was still deeply involved in the breaking scene. I was teaching, educating, entering competitions, and things of that nature. And I was always looking when I would go to these events. I wasn't only going to these events to focus on competition. I was
Right.
collecting data. I was
Hmm.
analyzing the scene. I was looking at the culture. I was looking at the community. I was trying to understand the social atmosphere at the time and how it could, I guess, what the social atmosphere at that particular time was spilling outside influence into our culture, into our community, which was
Okay.
kind of shaking up the scene a little bit. So I'm sitting back, I'm watching all this stuff happen, and as I'm going to work and I'm driving, I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? People was like, "Yo, just talk to yourself. It's very therapeutic." So I'm talking to myself,
Yeah.
and as I'm talking to myself, I'm making sense, and I say to myself, "You know what? Maybe I should just record this shit and then upload it and see what
All right.
happens."
Okay.
So I started doing that, but I started doing like small clips, right? Because I
Right.
could sit back and I could talk for fucking 3, 4 hours
Right.
nonstop if it was
Yeah.
just about me. So I would kind of just talk for 10 minutes and then I cut down a lot of the stuff that I was talking and then I uploaded it using this program called Vine. This was 10 years ago.
Oh, Vine. When Vine
Not
was.
it, but not the
Oh.
Vine that's like the pre
Oh.
TikTok.
Okay. Okay.
There
Okay.
was
Word.
another Vine program that was audio based,
Mhm.
right? So I was uploading stuff on Facebook, and then it started to gravitate, and everybody in the breaking community is like, "Yo, Ricky's doing these crazy podcasts. Yo, listen to this. This shit don't make no goddamn sense." Blah 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 blah. Right? So I just started doing that, and I don't know, like something clicked in me and I was like, bro, like I can see I want to talk about things that the breaking community doesn't really acknowledge, but it's there. Either they're too
Mhm.
naive, they're too
Mhm.
stupid, or they're purposely not even engaging these situations
Right.
that have happened,
Right.
are currently happening, or could potentially happen in the breaking community. You know what
Right.
I mean? So that's where the AER B-Boy B-Girl podcast came from. AER is an acronym for Addressing the Elephant in the Room
Got it.
podcast.
That's why it's an elephant. Aha! Now, got it. Yeah.
So I was just I was just kind of just going at it. And the thing with a lot of my podcasts, if not all, actually all my podcasts, I always come to the table with factual information. I
Mhm.
always have to utilize evidence to sustain all my questions, all my talking points. If not, I'm not the type of guy to shoot from the hip. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? If I don't have facts to sustain what it is that I'm talking about, then you can't even approach it objectively. You know what
Right.
I mean? So even if I'm talking about something super silly or super serious or anything in between, it's going to have some type of factual information to sustain what it is that I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I started doing that by myself in my vehicle. Around 2017, I opened up a hip hop studio in Edison, New Jersey.
Oh, word.
Okay, where I was teaching everything hip hop related and fitness.
Okay.
Um, so I would open practices 3 times a week. And then after practice, I'd make the breakers that came to practice stay to do a
Just.
podcast with me. Because
Oh
I kind
shit.
of got tired of giving my own perspective
Right.
on
Right.
particular things, right? I wanted
Right.
to hear from the breaking community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the idea was to bring in real breakers, guys
Mhm.
that were involved in the community, involved in the scene, you know what I mean? Deeply involved. They knew what was going on, not just locally, but on a national level,
Right.
on a world level, and I would just present certain topics. You know what I mean? I would
Mhm.
just kind of have a few rules. No name dropping. Try to
Okay.
respect each other's perspective, things
Right.
of that nature. Which to this day they always slip up and
And you have to
don't
cut it
even
out,
they
or
don't
what?
even acknowledge the goddamn rules. You know what I mean? And I got to go
Oh,
back and
okay.
everything edit it.
Yeah. All right.
But
So there has been
yeah,
like they just going and then
a
you
lot of
have to edit
editing,
it.
a lot of editing. A lot of editing, which is also why, for those of you guys that are interested in my podcast, most of the content you're going to find on SoundCloud because there
Hmm.
were times that we talk crazy. You know what I mean? And if I put my stuff on YouTube, I'll probably get flagged or
Yeah.
somebody have, police at
Yeah.
my door getting me arrested
Yeah. I,
because
wa-
of the shit
I
that I
was
talk
very curious
about.
because like even on IG today, I was saying stuff like essay or you know what I mean, and you can't really say because you never know, right? Like it's
Oh,
just
well,
like
that's light, homie. Yeah, I would go in. You know what I
right.
mean? I would go in, but I also try to keep it as respectful as possible. But as you know, throughout the years, this woke culture came in and kind of
Mhm.
diluted the way people were able to express themselves.
Mhm.
So I wanted to be respectful, but at the same time, I had to keep it real on that
It's
microphone.
it's a balance because like I live in San Francisco, so it's been like this for me all my life. You know what I mean? In a
Okay.
way, in a lot of ways, right? You know what I mean? It's been a while, and like liberal, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, right?
Mhm.
I'm more like like, but I let people ride. I think that's another thing I want to bring up because when Heat Rock came out with that series of like, what's a like, what's taxes,
Yeah,
and
yeah, he talked about that. Yeah, yeah.
I was like. in my experience, those guys don't necessarily exist anymore. To me, it's
Okay.
the anime kids. You
There's a
know,
lot of them.
you
There's
know what I
some
mean?
adults out
It's
there that are
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
anime
that's what I'm
kids.
dealing with more now. Like that's more than like the last of the hood b boys. I don't really see anymore. They totally are gone. I think when COVID happened, it kind of wiped everyone out. Now everyone that's coming up, they're good kids. They're basically good kids. You know, most of them are more introverted, and you know they get to release that testosterone in battle, and then back when the battle's over or the competition's over, so back to One Punch
Right.
Man, like but then in the battle they're like, I'm the hardest motherfucker in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And why
hey, you
is
know
that?
what? You know,
Why is that?
well, I
You
mean,
know what I
all
mean?
right, now we're getting to like your podcast, my now you're asking the questions. Um, it's like some
But
Batman.
let me just finish up, and then
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
and then you could quarterback it, homie. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like I said, I opened up a studio back in 2017. COVID came around and shut me down, so I was
Oh,
open for
word.
about 3 years, and then I had to shut my doors because of the pandemic.
Wow.
But I continued to do podcasts. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't battle as much as I do. I'm still actively
Hmm.
involved in the breaking community. You know, through organizing events,
That's dope.
promoting.
Yep.
I
Yep.
DJ, I educate. I got three proteges that I teach every Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You name it, I've done it. But
Hell yeah.
I'm still deeply involved in breaking. It is, and this podcast, I moonlight as a podcaster. Although
Right.
I'm passionate about it, I'm not. This ain't my full time job. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? As a
Right.
podcaster, so but I do love doing what it is that I do.
But I think that's dope, though. I mean, you know, not all everyone can do this, but then you have to start somewhere, and especially if we're early in this. Depending what happens after August 10th, I don't know. Who knows? Then everyone's gonna like everyone and your mama's gonna have a podcast about breaking or whatever. Who knows? But you know, like I said, we I can now count how many podcasts about breaking there is in my hands. Before it was
Right,
like one hand. Yeah.
right,
Now
right,
it's
right.
like two hands, which is still kind of cool. You know what I mean? And everyone has a perspective. But like I said, what makes yours unique, and let's bring up some of this, some of the stuff here. Let's go back again.
If you
Um,
go to my SoundCloud, you'll find stuff that I've talked about over 10
oh,
years.
word.
Yeah, if you wanted to pull up the SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So again, I don't post much
On
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Right, right, right.
I might post a clip or two on YouTube, only because my content is very explicit.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I,
just to give the audience a taste, like this one's really like, would sex appeal help help marketing breaking? It's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. It's like this one is this is the thumbnails too. I want to show. Are you a bitch if you don't answer a call out? And then this one's, would you marry foreign elite breaker for legal
homie, let me tell
citizenship?
you, don't think that I'm shooting from the hip. Don't ever
Word.
think I'm shooting from the hip. All
Okay.
this
Okay.
information I get is because there is
Okay.
real shit happening out there in the breaking community that a lot of you guys don't know about, or you do know about, and you're just not putting no
I
energy
hear it.
to it. You
Okay,
feel me?
so that's
So
what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like like yeah, yeah. In the private chat, you could put the SoundCloud, and I put it in the link in the chat. But so this is what I'm saying. Like right now, it's just basically me, Focus, or Smurf. Hey, this battle happened. Hey, I want to interview you. Hey, like, did you first do the sweep? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very light work, but because it doesn't exist, you're already going in like. Like I
homie, I
said,
would
like
never in my life do a podcast on so how'd you get your b-boy name? You
I
would
do.
never catch me asking somebody a question like that. I'm not doing no battle review. And
All
salute to
right.
those that do that. I'm not
Yeah,
clapping
yeah,
at anybody who wants to
yeah,
go in that direction. Salute to you guys, because there are people that are good at that,
yeah,
giving
yeah,
different battle reviews and things of that
yeah.
nature. But that's not my flow, that's not my steez, that's not my pedigree. You feel
Right.
me? I'm trying to bring something a little bit more different to the table. I'll keep it 100 with you. Most of the breakers that gravitate towards my content are in the 35 plus range. I could show you
Mm.
the analytics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yep,
I could show you the
yep,
analytics. You know
yep,
what I mean? I got a
yeah.
handful of people that are within that 17 to
Mm.
35 demo.
Right.
You know what I mean? But what does the 17 to 34 breaker give a shit about, you know, aging out of breaking? What do they
Yeah,
care about
yeah.
if a B girl can still break 4 months pregnant? You know what I'm
Right, right,
saying? That's
right.
not their flow.
Yeah.
But there are B girls out there that are interested. There are guys that listen. I got guys that listen to my podcast. They got 20, 25, 30 years of experience in breaking. They got mortgages. You know what I mean? They got careers. They got
Right.
kids. They're parents.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's my primary demographic. So
Right.
not only with breaking content, but all content
Hmm.
across the board, you need to ask yourself as content creators, who's your target audience?
Right.
Who's your
Yep.
demo?
Yep.
You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Not
yeah,
here.
we all gravitate towards breaking as a dance perspective, but there's the breaking scene is broad. Everybody's got it's a cesspool of different personalities, different
She said
mentalities.
cesspool.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just people of
Yeah.
different thinkings. Not
Yeah.
everybody's the same just because we all
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially our point of view and our perspective and the way
Yeah.
we comprehend breaking
Yeah.
as a culture and as a community.
Yeah.
You feel
I
me?
hear it.
So
No, I hear it.
what is it that you're looking for? And then that's what it
Right.
is. And if not, those that are in the 17 and 34 will be in my 34 plus
That's
demo,
that's what
which
100.
might resonate with them later.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
hear
feel
it.
me?
So yes, so like just to, and then we'll go back to like how you already talked about how you come up with topics. I tend to shoot from the hip a lot. That's why I like to do it live because I don't want to write anything down. I just like go with the what's being presented and then just react.
Yeah.
So for instance, for me, it's just like as I was saying in the intro, it's like yes, I would love more numbers and this and that, but really mine's is documentation. It's more like trying to get documented because not a lot of people are doing it or and even being consistent with it. Like and for me it's like okay, I don't think I am like everyone that interviewed Sasa, who was like the first quote unquote called B-boy, it's been hip hop dudes and not B-boys. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not from a b-boy's perspective. Like it's just hip hop. Like, oh, you do the break dance? Oh yeah, Sauce the first break dancer. Like, great, that's great. But then I want to know from my perspective, or if I talk to like DJ Shortcut or Breakbeat Lou from Ultimate Breaks and Beats, like saying that hey, we are still involved in hip hop, and I want this is the breaking perspective of the questions that I have for you, and that's what's more of my thing with trades. It's more of interview style, and basically people are like doing something different, and I feel like I said, yeah, you're coming up with subjects that are there now that I know your formula. They exist, and you're not shooting from the hip, but you are putting it out there versus just like kind of like it's just hey, how many 90s did you do today? Like,
Yeah, I could give a shit less about that. Yeah, my topic, my podcast is topic driven. It's not
right,
interview driven. So
right,
although
right,
I have guests on my show,
yeah,
I'm not really trying to dig deep with regards to a breaker's history. If you don't know who I got on the show, you know what I mean, then it's probably not for you.
right,
But I appreciate again, I appreciate all content creators with regards to breaking out there. I mean, you yourself, I tap in with you all the time. You're
yep,
a source of information. You know what I mean? When you bring Pluto on, you bring a lot of the architects on. A lot of that stuff is information that I use for
right,
my podcast. You know
right.
what I mean? So I have source
Cool,
material. You feel me?
cool.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
important to have everything out there,
Yes,
all
I
kinds of
agree. I
conversations. You
agree.
feel me?
So let's go to that. Let's go first with oh shoot, see I got lost. Well, you talked about your studio, but we had a subject. What was the subject again? Do you remember?
You want to get into one of the topics with regards
It was
to
like
ages?
yeah, I was gonna go there. I wanted to talk about because we were like we put a thumbtack on it, then I forgot. Chat, if you remember what we were talking about before you talk about the studio closing, let me know. But yeah, let's go for the ageism thing. So that's pretty interesting because this is actually the first time it's really happened
I
in
put you on a
breaking.
banner. I
I
put you
know.
on a banner. You saw that?
I know. I know. I was like, oh, I'm on the thumbnail. Yeah, I made it. Um, because this is the first time this has really happened. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like we're that first generation of because back in the 90s, you stopped at 18. Like 91, 92, 93. Oh, I graduated high school, time to go to college, time to get a job, and you kind of stopped. And that was like the limit. Then that age started to go. It started the go field post started to push a little bit more as the longer we got. And because by the time even when Kenny was representing, he was still like I'm kind of on my way out. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like still like he was like at the time, like 97, he was like one of the oldest still representing. We are like, oh my gosh, Ken Swift, this guy's killing it. You know what I mean? And that's how he got a lot of our respect. You know what I mean? And then after that, it was kind of like, well, after 30, I don't know how long you could do this. You know what I mean? I hear kids at 29, like, I'm too old. I'm hurting already. I'm like, yo, I'm 20 years older than you, and you're saying you're hurting. No, sir, that is your fitness and your diet. Like, that's not because of you're old. So let's get into the ageism thing. What brought that on? As far as a subject.
So I don't know if any of you guys have actually listened to the podcast in its entirety.
Just
So if
pieces
you
for me.
if you
Yeah.
had an opportunity to listen, yeah, I would encourage listening to the podcast in its entirety,
Mm.
because what we did was we kind of ran parallel. Uh, can you age out of breakism, or can you age out of breaking? We ran that parallel to, um, is it age appropriate?
Right. Like going to the club.
So,
That's why you said going to the club. Like a guy at the club, like at a
well,
certain age,
listen,
looks kind of crazy.
I said this in the podcast. I go, dude, you could do whatever the hell you want to do. If you're a man of a
Hmm.
certain age and you want to go bungee jumping, you want to go I don't know. I made a like a correlation to passport bros. You know what I mean? I know a guy who's 65 years old and he wants to be a passport bro. You know what I mean? There's guys out there that are in their 40s and they go to Chuck E. Cheese by themselves and they jump in the goddamn ball pit because it makes
Right.
them happy. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
question was, is breaking at a particular age and primarily competition,
Hmm.
competing,
Hmm.
is it age appropriate? So
Hmm.
then that's how we veered into, can you age out of breaking? So we
Okay.
were specific.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
There's a lot
Right.
of guys that are still out there that are dope. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not taking anything away that you still got skills.
Right.
But if you are a man of a certain age, if you're, in that 35 plus range,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Should you still be competing? Just because you're dope doesn't mean you still have to compete.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's more or less about, are you hindering the growth of the culture by you still being in the competitive scene? Whether you're too dope, whether
Okay.
your clout is too strong, or
Okay.
should you be in a different position with regards to breaking outside of the competitive scene? Would
I
it be
see.
more age appropriate for you to be judging? Would it be more age appropriate for you to be educating? Would it be more age appropriate for you to be promoting or
Right.
organizing? You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? You
Yeah.
could still
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
in the breaking scene
Right. Right. Right.
and
Right.
play different positions and wear different hats. But
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that just can't leave the competition scene.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's people who can't stop breaking. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's more conducive to the culture and the community if certain breakers found other positions, stepped out of competition and started other positions. And before you go, let me just say this,
Hmm.
breaking was started by the youth.
Right.
Breaking is youth driven. It's supposed to be fresh. It's supposed to be new. It's supposed to evolve. When you got old niggas, and I'm an old nigga, you know what I mean? When you got old niggas that are still out here trying to fucking chase Rebel BC1 at 45 years old, it's like, are we going backwards as
Yeah.
breakers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or should those breakers that are in their 40s, pushing fucking 50, should they be doing something that's more beneficial to the next generation? You know
Right.
what I mean? Sitting in another generations. It almost feels as if, and this has been going on with hip hop as a
Hmm.
whole. It almost
Hmm.
feels as if the babies are leading the babies.
Right.
You
Right.
feel me?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Not everybody could be a student. Somebody's got to be a
Right.
master.
Right.
I
Right.
know
Right.
that saying, always a student. No,
Yeah.
somebody has to be the teacher. Somebody
Yeah.
has to be the master.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
one of those people that says, oh, 40's the new 20. No, 40's 40.
Yeah.
You know, 50's the new 30. No, 50's 50. You
100.
feel me?
Yeah.
So, and that's no clap at you. That's no clap at anybody out there that's people of a
Well,
certain age that are
let me
still
ask you a
doing the
question.
damn
Do you
thing.
know someone that's 45 that's still trying to do a BC1, like trying to be that dude?
I'm sure there is. I don't know specifically, and I don't
Okay.
want to
Okay.
drop any
Okay.
names, but I know there was one breaker that he was in his early 40s that was chasing Red Bull.
Really? See, I
I think
mean,
we all know him. I mean, I don't
do
want to
I
drop a
mean
name if he's
maybe
not
maybe
on here.
maybe 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 I'm not paying attention as much as like you're paying attention because I mean really, but
I'm
for like
watching, homie. I'm watching everything. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
okay. So
I'm
maybe I'm
watching
not catching it.
everything.
Maybe I'm not catching it as much as I should be catching it. Maybe I'm just like, yeah, good for you. I'm more like chill, like good for you, but not like, are they serious? You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm because okay, you're right because I
Are you
still do
serious?
I
Are
still
you
do
serious?
me.
Yeah.
I'm
Are you serious?
serious, but not about winning. Yeah,
Elaborate.
I'm
You
serious
don't enter
about
competitions to win?
no
Well, what do you enter competitions for?
for clips.
You're benefiting. You're looking to benefit something, right?
Yeah, but it's not to
You're looking to
win.
get something out of it.
Yeah, but it's not to win. It's not to win.
Okay.
It's to me to go like, and it's happened, right? Like this has happened before. Um, I'd enter a competition, and let's say I get to the finals or something like that, and they'd be like, "Man, I smoked you." I go, "You're 22. You're supposed to smoke me." The question is, what am I doing in the finals?
What are you doing in the finals? Should he have been battling somebody else who's 22 years old?
Yeah, they should have been taking me out, in my
Oh,
opinion.
okay.
Do you know what I mean? They like I'm supposed to get beaten. I know I'm supposed to get beaten, but why am I winning? What are you doing wrong and I'm doing right? I should
Are
be
you
the
are you entering is that benefiting the breaking community by you entering competitions
it
and
break. It,
smoking young kids?
this is the where it is. This is where it is. I like a certain style of breaking, and if I don't represent it, that style might be gone.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not to
Yeah.
win. It's to like that's just like being in the cipher. As much as being in the cipher, I just like to challenge myself. And I use the clips. Like I do use the clips to be like, hey, I'm old. Look at me, air flare. Like, but it's not to be like I gotta be that BC1 champ. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be no BC1 champ. But at the same time, and this is and I've talked to Renegade about this. It's like, what is it going to take for these kids for me to respect? Because I'm DJ Renegade, but people don't respect me as a judge. I go, you got air flare on stage. I told him that airflow on
Yeah.
stage, and you won't. And I go, that's stupid that you have to do that. I go, that's dumb. It's dumb. They should. You care more. You care about competitive breaking. You study it more than a lot of people do. More than some of the OGs do. You've seen it from the last 30 years, the development. You could talk about what style came from where versus someone that was like has been in and out and all of a sudden, but I'm OG. I was in Beat Street. Like, you respect me. Like, no, I shouldn't respect you. I could respect, and someone brought that up recently, and it's like, yo, fly them out. Fly out all these OGs, but they shouldn't judge. Fly them out, give them their flowers, give them awards, say thanks for creating the knee spin, and and then they shouldn't judge.
So let me jump in real quick.
Yep.
Now you're born and raised out there in the West Coast, right?
Yep.
San Francisco
Yep.
specifically.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I'm sure you know this. I'm not educating you. Please don't feel as if I'm trying to teach you anything here.
Mhm.
Many people believe that breaking emulates gang culture.
Right.
Now, gang culture is much different on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
West Coast gang culture came from the neighborhoods. That's why you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
many of these sets out here
Right.
that are named after street signs. You know,
Right, right,
Piru,
right, 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 right,
130s,
right, right, right.
160s,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Damu,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
H
yeah, yeah.
Street Killers.
Yep.
In the East Coast over here, now I'm not talking about the outlaw gangs that go back to the
Hmm.
60s and the 70s. I'm talking about recently, like within the past 10, 20, 30
Okay,
years.
educate
Uh,
me.
a lot of the gang stuff came from the penitentiary and
Word.
spilled out into the streets.
Hmm.
Now, correlate it to what you were just talking about, there's a lot of gangs out there that, their OGs went to the penitentiary, did like a life sentence, came out 30, 40 years later, and they were looking for some type of respect. And there are some gangs out there that don't give a shit unless you put in
Word.
work in them streets. They don't
Right,
give a
right,
shit how
right.
long you went to the penitentiary or
Yeah,
what you were
yeah,
doing back in the 80s.
yeah,
You
yeah,
feel me?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But there are also a lot of gang members that do come out of the penitentiary, depending on what set you rep,
Hmm.
that if you did some time, you know what I mean? You come out and that next generation will show you love. They will, make contributions back to you because they look at you like some street legend. You
Right, right,
feel me?
right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if we're applying the same concept to breaking, for many people believe a lot of the gang shit
Mhm. Yeah.
reflects a lot of breaking in
Yeah.
the
Okay.
culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not obligated just because you an OG.
Mm,
You're not obligated to get the respect or the credibility of the younger generation.
yep.
You feel me?
I see. Yep.
Unless you've been around and you've done stuff, and
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to break.
No,
But
and
have you
that's the
made contribution? You know what I mean?
yes.
Have you
Yes.
made put in
Yes.
work? Have you been active?
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes. And
So
see, and that's what I mean. Like,
makes sense.
for instance, to me, the most respected OG that I have respect for is K1. Because K1, he lives, he's from New York, but he lives in Texas. But that fool won't have to judge. He'll just go to a jam, give his money, hang out, who's who, go to a merch table. Oh, that's yours? Okay, cool. Let me buy that.
Yeah,
Not
they
judging,
do.
not getting flown out, not, and yo, that to me is what I respect. Not the, I was here, then I'm gone for 20 years. Olympics, time to come
Almost.
back. Like, get out of here. Get
Right,
out of
right,
here.
right.
I will give you, look, I will fly you out. Like, look, like I said, I gave props to Cross One. He flew out Sasa, Trixie, Dancing Doug, the Twins, Coco Rock. Dope. They got awards. Dope. Hey guys, these are these guys. But I'm not gonna have them judge. Like, you know what I'm saying? I barely
No.
gonna like, you know what I mean? And this is for, and like I said, I'll sit down, I'll listen to all the stories, but no, we need someone that's been consistently there, observing, seeing how it got to where it is now, and then like now I could like Po One. Po One never left. Like that fool is still around. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like he's still around,
he's
and I
anchored in. Yeah, he's
and
anchored
he's
in.
and he's not entering competition, but he'll be in a cipher and then call someone out. Like I like you, and call you out. Like that's Po One.
Right, right,
You know what I
right, right.
mean? Like this to me, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now, and that what crazy thing is now, and and it's gonna piggyback off of yours a little bit is that now you have guys that are over 40 that are battling. Like Hong Ten's 40. You know what I'm saying? Morris is 40. Flea Rock is 40.
I'm
Venom is
so glad you
40.
brought up Hung Ten.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
so glad you brought up Hung Ten.
So
So
these
look,
guys are 40,
okay.
but it's a little bit different than, it's almost in the same thing. Do I trust Hong Ten judging? Of course, because he's still around. He's still around. He observed everything. He's still getting influenced by the kids.
He's a
Like,
good judge too. I
yeah.
mean,
So
he's a good
and so
judge.
this is what I'm saying. Like, this going back, like maybe he should be judging more. Like, like that guy won three freaking, Rebel titles, and it's cool to me. But like I said, like, I like the fact. This is another thing. This is just some different shit, and this is just my observation. This is me giving flowers too. Someone like Rocks, right, and someone like Hong Ten, they grow with the scene. Like Hong Ten's, like Rocks, right, is still being like, oh, I like that. Let me use it, because I'm inspired by y'all. So he's evolving versus like I did this back in '96.
Yeah,
Give me more,
yeah,
like yo, you remember
yeah.
this? Like you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Let me piggyback off
yeah,
that
yeah,
because every time
yeah.
I have these conversations with regards to ageism and
Mhm.
individuals that are of a certain age in the breaking community, they always bring up three names: Hung Ten, Rock's Right, and Menno.
Word.
And I
Is
get so
Menno
excited when I
40,
see
40
that
now?
name. I'm
Menno's
sorry,
40
who?
now? Is Menno
Who?
40 now? Menno.
Metal?
Menno.
Metal from Philly?
Oh no, Menno. Did you say Menno? One
Oh,
of the three.
Menno. Yes,
Yeah.
Menno. No,
He's
I think Menno is in his mid 30s.
okay, word.
If I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
He's not 40 yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah.
been in the scene for a very long time. And
100. Yeah.
as a man of a certain age, I would probably imagine that he's still super dope. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But those guys, everybody always mentions those guys with regards to age and breaking and still putting in the work. Let me just say this: they will never ever be another Menno. There's not going to be another Rocks Right. There will never ever be another Menno or Hung Ten. Okay, these are guys that have been breaking before the fucking internet. All
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And they not only were breaking before the internet, they transitioned throughout the decades,
Yeah.
which means they reinvented themselves. As you mentioned, they
Mm,
evolved throughout the decades and they stayed, I hate to say this word relevant, but
mm,
they stayed relevant with the times.
right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So the guys that you're talking about are not only dope at breaking, all right? you could give them their flowers for judging. You could give them their
Hmm.
flowers for workshops, education, because they're
Hmm.
doing that across the world. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They're doing. They have a legacy. A lot of them have second, third, fourth generation crews
Hmm.
and proteges and things of
Hmm.
that nature. These are guys that not only solidified their name through the battles, right, through
Hmm.
dance, but they also solidified their name through other outlets within breaking that kept breaking
Right.
secured. You feel me? The
Yeah.
structure of breaking, they kept it
Yeah.
secured. So, I mean, you can use Hung Ten and Rocks Right as motivation for you to continue breaking up into your 40s. But keep in
Yeah.
mind, there's not going to be another Rocks Right. There's not
Hmm.
going to be another Hung Ten. I mean, these
You
guys
don't
are
think so?
much different.
You
No.
don't think Victor is gonna be like that eventually? Why not?
Victor, I think, and again, I don't really like to drop names and I don't want to sound biased or anything like that. You
Mm.
know, Victor is super dope and salute to him as he goes into the Olympics, right? But outside of breaking, and I think he just turned 30, has he done
He's
anything else?
30. Yeah, he's
He
31.
just turned 30, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right, at 30 years old, breaking probably for 15 plus years, I want to say.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Do you know of anything else that he has done outside of breaking that's conducive to the culture, that's conducive to the community? Do you know if he's a good judge? Has he judged? Is he a good
I'm
educator?
I'm sure he's judged.
Does he have proteges at 30 years old? Does you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like what's your contribution back to the culture outside of
Okay,
breaking? Or
I
is that
see.
all you are? If that's
Right,
all
right,
you are,
right.
just stand on it. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right, right, right.
I think
I
Victor
can't
is
answer
just a
those
code breaker.
questions. You know what I mean? I can't answer those questions. I would have to
And that's
talk
why
to
we
him.
don't drop names.
Well, okay. He was just an example. I could have put anyone, right? Like I could have put anyone right now because it's still, you just like you just said, he just turned 30. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like he just turned. I don't know what he's gonna do at 35. Maybe he's, you know what I mean? I don't know if he's gonna.
How old are you?
Yeah,
You just turned 49, right?
49. Yeah, 49.
Okay, so you're 50.
49.
You're almost granddad age. And I say that
Yeah,
all due
yeah.
respect. Do you have proteges?
Yes.
You have proteges.
Yeah. Hijack, Arc. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The 808 kids. Like a lot of those guys. Like they were my neighbors when they used to live out here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they
Nice.
were my
That's what's up.
neighbors, so I helped develop like kind of their. I used to go to their house all the time, say they're whack, and
Okay. Do you
just
prefer judging over battling? Like, how's your judging ability? Are you comfortable with judging?
I'm
Or
con-
would you rather be in the street?
I love judging. I actually love judging. I love everything breaking. Like I love to watch it. I like to talk about it. I like to actually break. I like the science. I like talking about the history. I like to talk about the timeline. I like to talk about like developing styles. I just every aspect of breaking. I like it. Do you know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's
Like
up.
from the music to, and this is what is different because like my name didn't get out there till 2009. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I was a local guy that supported local people. Like I was more into like I'm a Bay guy. Like, oh, Machine, I support him. He's from the Bay.
Hmm.
Uh, freaking like Rock's right. Knew him when he was 17. Who's that guy?
He was from
Judge
the
Kid
back.
David's
Yeah.
first battle. Judge
Hmm.
Nasty Ray's first battle. Like I was like, they're from the Bay. That's all I care. You know what I mean? Even though I was in the crew and they were like, I hate the crew I was in. They was like, why do you do that? We're a crew. I'm like, they're from the Bay. Like I support. You know what I'm saying? So I've
Gotcha.
always been that dude. And then I got my time to shine in 2009, and that's when and then it was funny because Floor Gangs is a Korean crew, so when I would when they got me in, they just thought I was their age. They thought I was 24, but I was 33 at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I
You,
mean?
you
But
do
they
you
thought
do
I
come
was.
off as a
You
30
know
year
what I
old. I
mean?
say
They
with all due
thought. They
respect.
thought.
You
Yeah,
do come
yeah,
off
yeah.
like a 30-year-old. I don't know if that's a good thing or
It
not.
is what it is. But that's so. A lot of people are like, "You're a born student, right?" I'm like,
No, 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 no. Is
I'm
that true? That's not true. Is that
at the
true?
first 2009 when I first got Floor Gangs. Now the
Oh,
people in the
okay.
Bay knew what was up, but this is the first time I had my name internationally.
Okay.
So they just thought by association, like, oh, you're in a Korean crew. Oh, you're always with Born in physics, and then you're like,
Because Bourne's out here.
yeah, yeah, he's out here,
Bourne's not
but
too
like
far away
he's
from
the
out
one
here.
who got me in Floor Gangs. He was back in
Okay.
2009 when I was in Korea. See what I mean? It
Oh,
was kind of
nice.
like, so this is what I'm saying. Like, so everyone thought by association, and this again, this is not the Bay Area is like, oh, that's OG. That's uncle right there. I've been uncle for the last 20 years. But like, but like, internationally, it was like there's this guy that this, who's from America, he's floor gangs, he must be 25. And I'm like, no. And then everyone found out my age eventually. Like, oh, that old dude. like, like the Bay already knows what's up, but then like, everyone else is like, oh, that old guy, and then I just kind of wear on my sleeve and part of my marketing. Like it just I'm just being real. It's part of my marketing. It helps me get work, and you know what I mean? And
Would you ever consider having children? You don't have any children,
no,
right?
no, no,
Okay.
no.
I'm married. I have 3 kids. I have the home. I got life insurance. I got a goddamn
Word.
Costco membership card. I'm one of those
Dope.
really really old people. Would you ever consider having children, or
Yeah.
would you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's just like I have now I'm thinking more of that like now my goal is what you got. You know what I mean? Like that's my goal now is what you got because I done that. I did the thing that's why it's like I don't really have to battle. I battle for fun. It's not like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not like, and this is funny because this is only a few years ago. This was like maybe only 15 years ago where we were battling for rent. You know what I
Oh
mean?
shit.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Trying to get rent money out of
some people
breaking.
I know, we have to do a car show battle and we better win it because I'm starving. Like now I'm better for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm definitely smarter with my money and all that type of
Definitely.
stuff. And, and now it's like, okay, like, and this is where I'm looking at, and it's like without being, and that's who knows, right? Like I've always like everything that you've talked about as far as marketing, as far as knowing the business stuff, like a lot of the stuff I was like calling before, and I'm just kind of like laying out everything before we'll see if the wave happens, right? After August 10th, we'll see. It's already kind of ramping up. It's kind of crazy. Like I didn't think it was going to be like, I knew that there was going to be the push, the rollout, but I didn't know like other opinions out there. And me and Pluto talk about this stuff all the time, like about the hip hop and 50th hip hop and this and that, and then they're like, oh, it's colonized, and you're hearing all this crazy shit, and I'm like,
I heard you talking about King
yeah,
Flex prior to coming on. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
King
yeah,
Flex is Tariq Nasheed. For those of you
yeah.
guys that don't know who
Yeah,
King Flex.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I
it's
know
pretty.
exactly.
I'm public enemy number one. They've clipped my channel a few times already.
Get out of here. That's big. That's big, man. Because
Yes.
hey, King Flex is a big deal. He's
Not
got millions and
necessarily
millions of
not not
followers.
not
Like,
not necessarily Tariq himself, but his followers.
okay,
They've
okay.
clipped my channel, right? Because
Yeah.
guess what? I have an interview with Sasa. You know what I mean? I have an interview
Oh,
with Tally Rock.
you real
Do you
one,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
they're like, let's clip his channel. I have interview with Track
Ooh.
too. Like I'm cool. I'm a social. Like they've clipped Pluto. Like Pluto's in the chat. Like they've clipped Pluto, and it's just like, and I'll say this now. I'm not in that argument. I really am not. Even though I associate with certain people that are like on the Puerto Rican side, I associate myself on the the FBA side. I'm not here to argue with that because I wasn't even there. What I am here to argue is when you say y'all should do this. And I'm like, where were y'all when we were doing this? Not like my whole thing with Tariq, I'll say this. It's like, okay, fuck it. I'll
Well,
just say it. Just
we
say
don't have
I'll
to
just
kick us
say
back in. You don't have to
no,
kick
no,
us back
I'll
in, but
just
I
say it
think
because
I
it's like,
understand your position.
nah, but it's just like he said this thing about Jeffro, which was like, ugh, that made me go, mother, he's of Haitian descent, so he doesn't count. Like, oh, mother.
I thought Jeffro was Jamaican. I
He's Haitian.
think he's Haitian. He's
He's
of Haitian
Haitian.
descent.
Yep.
Okay, I thought he was of
Yep.
Jamaican descent. I
Yep.
know
That's why
all the
him and
guys
Danny
from
Dan get
Jamaica,
along because Danny Dan's Haitian descent too.
but in France, he's
Yeah, but in
French
France,
Haitian.
but he's yeah, but it's like you know what I mean. So that's why they get along. You know what I mean. That's why when they
Okay,
battle, it's like oh shit, you know what I mean. So it was like on that
right,
shit.
right.
But I don't. That made me go like, yo, and I'll put it out there. Tariq Nasheed, if you're watching, I'm sure maybe one of your followers gonna clip the channel, whatever, talking shit. This immigrant's talking shit. Like they've called me an immigrant before in
Oh,
channels.
stop it! Stop
No,
it!
they have. I swear to you.
Oh my god.
They've called me an immigrant. Pro for one talks about breaking and hip hop, but he's an immigrant. Okay.
So, I mean, this is probably a conversation we can have at another
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
just to let you know, I'm very, very, very knowledgeable with regards to the FBA movement and their
Right.
agenda.
Yeah.
And I've been following King Flex for probably close to 10 years because
Mm-hmm.
he used to write math books. He used to write like pro
Word.
player books, and I saw the transition and him gathering the following started to grow.
Right.
And then I was watching that because I knew it was just a matter of time that that shit was going to spill into the breaking scene, and the
Mm-hmm.
hip hop scene. And he's a good
Mm-hmm.
documentarian. He
Mm-hmm.
put out a lot of hidden color documents and things of that nature. But with those guys, you got to know what it is that they're after.
Right.
If you
Right.
know what
Right.
it is that they're after, then you have a strong debate. So,
Right.
for example, I've always been the type of person that if I want to denounce something, I need to know what the hell it is that I'm denouncing. So I'm going to go and research and do the R&D in order to know what it is that I'm denouncing. I'm not just going to
Right.
go off the rip and say, "No, I'm not fucking with you because just because." No, I need to
Right.
know what
Right.
it is that
Right.
I'm not messing with.
Right.
So I know I'm pretty well
Yeah.
knowledge
So
in
he's
that particular
he
area and
said a lot of things. Well, his
why it's what it
followers.
is.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry to cut you off, but
No, no, good.
his followers basically has clipped me, and they called me an immigrant, which I think is funny. But anyway, but my whole thing is, well, where were you when Swerve and Gideon or Get Nasty in Oakland did make history, where it's all black b-boys run it, all black DJs. They fly out like where are y'all guys support? Do you know what I'm saying? Like when I think about it, you have all the strong opinions about everyone, but you guys aren't supporting them. Where were you supporting Morris in the last 4 years when he was trying to go for being in breaking for gold? You talk all that smack, yeah, you don't even know them, and then now you only know them because they're on NBC now. You only know the name because of NBC. You didn't go out and look for him. So I'm kind of like, all right, motherfuckers, like don't say all that shit when you still think pop locking should be in the Olympics. Like, like why aren't y'all pop locking? Like, what
So
the fuck are you
let me throw
talking
this
about?
out there, man, because no, you make a good point because recently, as many of you guys know, I did put out a podcast with Heat Rock, Rich Nice, and Box Squad.
With the Paul Mooney thumbnail?
I did several we did several talking points. I came up with several different topics. One thing that we discussed, which was not a topic, we kind of just randomly started talking, which I'm not certain if I'm going to put it out just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the conversation with regards is Breaking Black.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start talking about racial dynamics and hip hop and breaking, when you're having that conversation with me, come with your sword sharpened, homie,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what I mean. I'm up to my neck in that type of conversation.
Right.
So although I wasn't prepared for it at that particular time, and I got three quote unquote black guys that are
Right. Right.
arguing with
Right.
me with regards to this black,
Right.
basically at the end of the day what we're doing is we're on one side we have the conversation between hip hop and breaking, and as I said earlier, you can't detach hip hop from breaking. That's one of the same thing, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
care how the hell you slice it up. Hip hop is a Bronx, New York thing, and
Mm-hmm.
those who were there during the inception, during the development, during the manifestation of hip hop are the ones that should take credibility for its development. I don't like to say creation or
Mm-hmm.
invented because that's misleading.
Right.
On
Right.
the
Right.
opposite side, you have race politics.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing is they're combining race politics with hip hop and breaking, and it's not making sense because they need to figure out their race politics first. You know what I mean? I've said
Mm-hmm.
this before. Not everybody melanated identifies as black, and not
Mm-hmm.
everybody who identifies as black has lineage to hip hop.
Right. Right.
So what
Right.
type
Right.
of black you talking?
Yeah.
Figure
Yeah.
that out first,
Right. Right. Right.
and then we could talk that hip hop breaking stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't get caught up in it if you're not from that particular space,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense, because they could care less about that jam up in Oakland, or they could
Right. Right.
care
Right.
less about
Yeah.
Morris and all these other guys. Because if they don't align, if those breakers don't align with their guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, they're gonna clap at
Right.
our
Right.
guts,
Right.
and
Right.
we're
I
not
hear it.
gonna know why. We're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Well, what do you mean?" You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I just
So.
think like I said, because Professor Griff really said some crazy shit, like like
Oh, they
it's
all
been
do. They
caught.
all do. I listen to all of them. I know Griff. I follow Griff. I know them all.
You know what I
You know what
mean?
I
Like
mean?
I told, and this is I was telling this story about when Vitamin D got on Lord Jamar's live, like
Vitamin D.
2020.
Oh wow. Okay. I haven't heard that one.
I'm about to say it. I'm gonna say it right now. I don't care. It's live. Vitamin D got on, right? This was during COVID, right? Everyone was inside, right? And Lord Jamar, like I was watching it. I normally watch his stuff, you know what I mean? I've been a fan since the '90s, brand Nubian, you know, and
Me too. I'm
and
disappointed.
it's
Disappointed.
crazy. It's
Go ahead.
crazy. I'm gonna say it. It's gonna be on the record. Trick it. We're going there. I'm shooting from the hip. I'm saying names. Vitamin D got on because he was just answering lives at this point, right?
Okay.
COVID time. But I was like, wait, is that Vitamin D? And it's like, yo, blah blah blah. You know, I'm a b-boy. He was telling Lord Jamar, yo, I'm a b-boy. I'm just I have a question for you. How come the MCs, the rappers, don't support the b-boys and the breaking? And Lord Jamar just said, because that shit's gay. No, but what he
What a
said,
tool bag.
but he really meant that seriously though, because he's talking about elite force. He's talking about the Latin quarters, hip hop dancers, then going to the fun house. So there was like, you know, they would go to these clubs and they played house and you know, it was like it was the gay scene, but they're not gay. It's just they would go to go dance. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, that's where house dancing came from. That's
You're
where
talking
that's
some Batman
the,
business now,
but
huh?
the thing is most
Some
of the
pussy
house
man business.
but this is where how house dancing
Hot
came up.
lava.
Those guys came up with, you know, house dancing because they went to house clubs. So Lord Jamar's looking at that like, well, yeah, that's breaking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
and
wouldn't
Vitamin
put
D
too
was stuck there just
much.
like this, like, huh? I was like, I felt bad for him, dude. I knew exactly what Lord Jamar was talking about because I know the history of the clubs that he went to.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And the dancers that would go there. And like even Buddha stressing them, like we went to all the clubs. We didn't care. We just wanted to dance. So he's looking at that, it's like, ah. But then now it's like all of a sudden, let me defend this shit. Because let me have a standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anything you hear from individuals like that, you got to really take with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? There's a
Yeah.
lot of them that flip flopping, they be backpedaling,
100.
as
Yeah.
you just said.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? There's a lot of
Yeah.
them. They don't stand on their square with what they saying.
Yeah.
You know, and
Speaking of
I
which,
know,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
they
the
don't.
god, you know
I
what I'm
don't really
saying?
be.
Like
Nah.
but
You know, there's a
so
lot of
that's
people
just a
out there.
lot of that stuff. So I just felt like really, and Pluto, I know was like, man, just don't address it. I'm like, no, I have to address it at this point. I just
No,
because it's like we've been
yeah,
here. You know what I mean? Don't tell me colonized. Like we fought that in the '80s. Like the guy, we okay. I tell people this: you might not agree about the Olympics thing, but you do agree that Cross is involved, and he's not trying to screw all of us. Nemesis is involved, Taekwon's involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even like the Bojin, yeah, like we might not disagree on stylistically music or hip hop, but you guys are there. I'm not gonna take Zach. I'm not gonna take away nothing from that because you guys are gonna put in the work. You know what I mean? And you never left. You've been here. You're not
facts.
like in the '80s where it's just like I used to do vaudeville, and you know when you do that breakdancing thing, you should wear like no. I'm sure that there's a form of that from the corporate level, but not the actual people that are like, no, these are the we need a judging system. We need, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not
Right.
totally like some guy like, hey, you know, and that's the
No, one
trauma,
hundred
and I get
percent.
it. That's the trauma that we have from the '80s because that's what happened,
Right.
right?
Right.
You know, that's what
Right.
happened when you watch what's that? Pluto knows that there's that movie, is it Body Rock, where the white dude was the main dude, and like there was this little kid, and he was like, "I'm gonna learn street dance from the hood." Like it's a
Oh my
Hollywood
god.
movie too. It's great. Like I think Oz
Yeah,
Rock
they're
is in it.
trying to
Oz Rock's
whitewash it.
definitely in it. But there's like he's like they're popping in Times Square, and this it's like a middle aged
Yeah.
white dude learning from like I'm gonna go to the hood. Like,
Yeah, it's real weirdo
but
shit
it's
that's
not
out
that. And I
there.
think a lot of us, and it's funny because like this is like a generational trauma that we've passed to these guys that have never experienced it. They don't know. They were born in '87, so they don't know about that time. They just know breaking from freestyle session and these tapes or VHS or the internet. But they carry the same trauma we do. But you guys never lived it. It's just I don't know. That's another thing that I think is really weird.
Are they
When
even
they're like,
interested?
no,
I
yeah,
think
they're like, of the
do they
culture.
even
Like
really
I'm so
interested?
hardcore. They be like, I'm so hardcore. I'm like, you. that? Like,
Yeah, I can't really speak on the breaking scene in other regional areas in the
Mhm.
states. I can really only speak on the tri-state area. I mean, I know New York, I know Philly, I know New Jersey, um, and I can honestly tell you that within the past probably 10 years or so, there's been a decline in the breaking population.
100, yeah.
So I've seen more people come into breaking and leave than I've seen come into breaking and stayed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the people who left and decided not to rock with breaking anymore, they're the ones that probably have the most knowledge, the most
100,
influence.
yo.
So there's really no passing it down to this next generation, and that's why there's such a huge gap. You feel me?
Yeah. I
But
mean, at the same time, when you're talking about being there from college and they went to Princeton or Rutgers, and they become executives, at least they know what's up. So I mean, I'm not, this is the first hip hop generation. Like, in ESPN, you're gonna hear some boom bap shit. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like let's play. You know what I mean? Like, it's where
Katy Perry,
yeah, it's something like that.
Taylor
Do you know
Swift,
what I'm
let's break the
saying? You know
Taylor
what I'm
Swift.
saying? You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying? It's not like it's not that. It's just like, and these are people that are worried about stuff they never lived through ever. You
right.
never, you never had to wear a pink thing to do a commercial. Now you're wearing a pink thing because you like it. You're wearing crop tops because you like. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
new
yeah,
joint. You see that?
yeah.
Yo, you
It's
see
different,
that?
different generation. Yeah, different
You see
time,
that?
different
I
time.
be telling like, okay, y'all into that crop stuff. I go, you're gonna regret that in 5 years. Trust me. Like, I tell them like, you're gonna regret. No, man, that's cool. I was like, all right, all right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you do what you do. But
I mean, yeah, and again, it's that kind of comes down to solidifying whether or not you truly believe breaking is a culture. You know what I mean? Because breaking, well, let me say this: a culture, by its root definition, is standards based on the collective.
Mhm.
Standards being rules, regulations, guidelines, parameters, morals, ethics, values. The collective would be the community, the
Right.
breaking community in this case, that abides by those rules. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So if individuals who really, really, truly looked at breaking as a culture stood on business when it came to those rules, those
Mhm.
morals, those ethics, those values, you wouldn't see, the type of things that may or may not trigger individuals in the breaking community that are, I guess, emulating something that doesn't represent breaking
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
itself. You know what I'm saying? So never mind everybody who's outside of breaking, who's trying to get in and talk.
Right.
The people that are here, that are in, if we can, solidify some type of ground, some type of rules, some type of standards, so that we're all on the same page. I think that will hold longevity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You think that's missing right now in the scene?
Well, I mean, listen, when I was on your live the other day, right?
Mhm.
And
Yesterday,
I
when I was
made
like, I just went on the rant yesterday or today.
No, when I made that contribution to you
Oh, word.
via
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
super chat,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, it wasn't just because I support you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean
Right.
that's without saying. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to be the example to show that we can create this financial ecosystem within our own breaking community. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Now, whatever donation I made the contribution to you, I'm sure you'll take that and you'll put it towards something else within breaking. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then that person will spend something with something else in breaking. And then it starts to create this whole cycle of financial growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the goal is to try to create certain rules, certain boundaries, certain parameters that helps us benefit. And if we need money, right? We need financing to help that help happen, then we could start with something very simple like making a contribution right now. Make a
Right.
donation, hit that super chat right now for those of you guys that are in here. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And try to continue to recycle that.
Right. 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 Right.
A lot of people are not going to understand that outside of breaking. They're going to clap
Yeah.
at us, oh, because it's gay, and these people are doing some shit like that. But
That was the wildest shit.
disregard all that noise,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and we can work with each
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
because it's possible. I mean, I don't know who made up that rumor that b-boys are broke.
Right.
That's not 100% accurate, homie. There's
Right. Right.
cats out
Right. Right.
here. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't want to
Yeah.
go too deep, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's shit out here that we can really, really make happen. You feel me?
Right. I hear it, man. Dude, man, this is great, dude. I really like this conversation, dude. And like again, I think what I like too is that, because it's funny because when Heat Rock came out with that whole like, oh, taxes, it's funny because opposite here, I don't run into that. These kids, these new kids, are very very responsible. Like what I mean, like they know what taxes are. They know, like, they don't, even though they battle like, I'm the hardest, but they know where they know that they're just being too wild, and they got pent up nerd energy, so they have to take it out on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got to take it out on somebody. I was beating up my whole
Yeah.
life, but this is my own time where I could, the guy's like 7 foot tall, and I could beat his face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah. I
mean,
mean, that's I have this joke. Breaking is a safe place for toxic masculinity. Like,
I did a podcast on it.
oh shit, see, there you go, boom.
Go to my YouTube. I did a podcast on that a couple of years ago. Does breaking have toxic masculinity? And not
And
everybody gave their information on it. You know,
yeah,
it was a
yeah,
really good discussion. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, you're not talking crazy, homie.
Right,
You're
right.
right on you're right on the money. You're right on the money.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
yeah, it's dope. Before we sign out, let's go to the chat real quick.
When you coming on my podcast? You got to
When you
come on my
want me on,
podcast.
when you want me on.
I'm gonna fly you out. What are you doing in August?
Shoot, that's a lot, bro.
What?
We'll
Hit
talk
me up
about
behind
it.
the scenes.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. That's a lot. There's a lot. Like this whole month is like jam packed all of a sudden. Like I'm just like out here locally too. That's the other thing. But yeah, let's get to the chat. We'll talk.
Mhm.
Talim says he didn't think we were gay when I danced for him. That's wild. Wow. Okay. You danced for Lord Jamar? All right. Cool. And then Pluto says yes. Pluto says rappers don't know shit about hip hop. Oh. Talim says he's part of the SOS dancers. Shout out to that. Old school. All right. IBM. Shout out to IBM in New York. Shout out to Elite Force Mop Top. You guys killed that shit. Word. Yo, respect, man. Shit, we got OGs in the house. I definitely pay attention whenever you guys rocked. Were y'all in the All for One video? Was that y'all? Say yes. Like the guy who's talking right now, who's in the chat. He said he danced for Brand Nubian. So I'm like, were y'all in the All for One video? Like, okay.
Okay.
1991. We see this. Check out my demographic, 45 and up. Back in my day, my old school hip
Yeah, yeah,
hoppers, like, that's not music.
yeah, yeah.
I get that.
With with
That's my
diabetes and gout.
dude.
Yeah,
100, bro. It's
niggas,
talk.
he's got high cholesterol. They talking
You
that
know what I'm
crazy stuff.
saying? That's why you all got to follow me, man. I keep it healthy, bro. Like intermittent fasting, Wim Hof, you name it, I
Yeah,
do it.
man. I be in the gym 3 times a week. You know,
See,
if I'm
see
lucky,
what
I'll,
I'm
I'll
saying?
practice maybe twice a month. But I'm in the gym, man.
Dude, no, I work out more than I break. It
Okay.
looks like no, it looks like I'm breaking. No, 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 no. My body can't take that impact all the time. Like, I work out to break so I can enjoy myself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Oh shit, he said, yeah, yo, this guy was in the brand Nubian video, All for One. Check him out. Yo, that's dude. I used to watch you when I was 16 years old, man. We copied your routine and everything, man. So I did because
Okay.
I didn't start out as a b-boy. I started as a freestyle hip hop dancer. That's like with Mikey Disco. I started. He was in my first crew. So these are the guys. So I got into breaking later. I was in the dance scene for a long time, but I got into breaking later. So I'm super nerd. Damn, how did you find my channel? See what I'm telling you, man?
Hey, there you go. You got another subscriber. Hey,
There you go.
subscribe.
There you
Hit the
go.
subscribe button. Stop
There you
playing.
go. There. No, I'm like I told you, DJ Academics hack. You can only comment in the chat if you're a subscriber. So
Is that like a setting or
yeah,
yeah?
that's what I
Okay.
did. So that people that want to
Nice.
talk smack, you got to
Nice.
subscribe to talk smack.
Hey man, I tell everybody if you want to talk crazy, hit that donation button. We'll
There you go.
respect your dollar. You know what I mean? You want to
There you
clap at
go.
me? Now's the time to do it. Hit that donation button. You can say anything you want to say.
Yeah, they're like,
Clap at me.
I'm gonna buy this much merch from you to burn it. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do after with it. Just all you gotta do is buy it. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm a
That's crazy.
fan.
Yo, shout out to you, man. This is how
Thank
much
you.
of a nerd I am. I know the video. I know the video, bro. That's how much of a nerd I am. And Pluto, see, Pluto even knows, like, yeah, oh man, y'all rocked it. Like, Yo, shout out to you. And before we sign out, I'm gonna do a little bit, of course, plug. My merch is out, Supreme Geometry.
Okay.
Go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna put the link in the chat right now. And that way you guys, if you guys feel like you want to support the channel, that's why I don't have a super chat on. But if you guys want to support the channel, you could go ahead and cop some merch. It's something I'm very proud of. Like I said, I came up with the concept, um, having a counter culture to the breaking competition scene. So go ahead. There is the link. You can go ahead and click to support. And let me take that off for a second. So that's why this is one of the other reasons why I like to do a live on Restream or StreamYards, because we can actually react to videos, and it's like I could just pull it up and like a picture or whatever, whatnot. And it's cool, you know what I'm saying? Just like this one too. Boom. Anything you gotta say before we sign out?
Hey, thank you so much for having me, bro. I truly appreciate it. I'd love to do it again with you, and
Yeah, man.
definitely when you're local, man, because I like to do the podcast like live when we're all
Oh,
in
word.
one room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different
Yeah.
vibe, it's a different action. I appreciate that. But for those of you guys out there that may be looking for me, you can find me on IG. It's
Mm-hmm.
AER underscore
Mm-hmm.
Bboy underscore Bgirl underscore podcast. Check me out, or you can hit me up behind the scenes, shoot me a DM. I'm fast with the DMs. I don't be waiting 2, 3, 4 days to respond to somebody. Definitely hit me up. Or if you want to listen to some of my work, some of my stuff that I put out there, most of it you'll find on SoundCloud, or you could just subscribe to me on YouTube right there. Subscribe. What did I say? Like, share, subscribe, all that
Yeah,
fun
like.
shit. Yeah, hit me up behind the scenes. Y'all know what time it is. Rick the Ruler, the AER B-Boy B-Girl podcast.
All
I'm out.
right. Yeah, and this has been Profo One of the Floor Gangs and Knuckle Neck Tribe. Here, let me get this off real quick. And you can follow me on Instagram at PROFO underscore FLGZ. This has been the Trades with AER B Boy B Girl podcast. Rick the Ruler. Peace. And we out of here. Stay on real quick.